When is the best month to take a cruise? What are your thoughts?
Ooh. Well, certainly not the summer months. I mean, definitely in the bumper season. So I mean, I would advocate like yeah, probably November.
November's good.
Yeah, I think
November's
no,
on my list. I have a list I
yeah,
prepared.
like November, December, January. But in December, there's a just a window, like the first like week or two of December. Um,
Yeah, I always find myself like going to Ensenada in the first week of December for so many years.
yeah,
Not this year, sadly, but it always seems to happen because it tends to be a good deal.
yeah, November. I think like November through to April. I think are the best months. And then because it just starts getting expensive after that.
Yeah, some bad times to go. And I mean, honestly, the best month to take a cruise is any month. Just go.
I mean, there's that.
So, like, any month with a vowel in it, go. And take me. But, so, like, the not as good, the less ideal months. May to September, because summer break.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't go like cover necessarily all of September, but like say the first week or two of September might be included in that, depending on various start times. I know that a lot of schools in the U.S. start in August, but in Canada it's generally right after Labor Day, and then there's some that might be a bit delayed. I think some private schools might be off by a week or two,
Yeah.
plus or minus. And so from May to September, summer break is problematic because it's more expensive. It's when teachers are not in school and students are not in school, and so those two groups of people are looking to travel, and those are not insubstantial numbers of people.
Yeah.
Because also the children go with the grandparents, the parents, the cousins, the everybody. And so it's not just those people, but it's like the teacher's spouses and the teacher's children and things like that as
Exactly.
well. And so summer's very busy for that, and that drives up cost. And it also means that certain various things, whether it's a cruise or not, could be more crowded. So like, the cruises generally sail full, but if you're going to Mazatlan and it's hot in Mazatlan and like you want to go to El Cid, but El Cid's fully booked because it's the summer.
Yeah.
So it's not just the cruise, but it's like the excursions and the
Excursions.
destinations, the travel, the flight, the cost, the hotels, of all of that, and
It all
availability.
compounds.
Yeah, the cost and availability of all of that might be not as ideal.
Yeah.
And then there's December winter break as well. And that's why I find myself, like, for some reason, December 5th on many, many years, I'm always on a cruise ship. Not this year, makes me sad, but most years, for some reason, December 5th, I'm always on a cruise ship, either beginning or end of a cruise.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, like the first couple of weeks of December.
Yeah, but then once you hit mid-December, it becomes problematic again because, again, the students and teachers
Yeah.
have their break.
Exactly.
And they deserve a cruise too, and it's cold. And so it could even be worse then, although it might be mitigated by Christmas and New Year's. I mean, that tends to drive up costs.
So much.
Are people more inclined to cruise at Christmas or New Year's, or less? I'm less. She would really like to.
I would like to, but I've
So-
having looked at the prices
Cost.
for especially like New Year's sailing, because I think that's the thing I'd like to do more than anything is a New Year's sailing. Well,
I'd like to do that. I don't
Halloween-
want to do Christmas. I do want to do
Halloween
New
sailing I
Year's.
want to do more than anything.
Halloween is definitely
That's like my thing. But like a New Year's sailing, I think would be absolutely fantastic. Like not talking like transatlantics, but I've looked at those prices for New Year's sailings, and the prices are astronomical, like more so than summer sailings. So it's just like where a sailing would be $200 for a 3 day or 4 day in January,
that.
it'll be like $1,300-$1,400 for the same cabin, and you're just like, damn.
Yeah, and like all the balconies to be booked also.
Yeah, exactly.
Another problematic time is March and April for spring break. Now, different schools, jurisdictions have different spring breaks. My first ever cruise was on a spring break. Woo girls everywhere.
Yeah.
And the beer bros. Hopefully those are okay labels. I hope I don't get in trouble for those labels. It was really, really boisterous, really loud, no hot tub availability, a lot of heavy drinking on my first cruise, and that was during spring break. And it wasn't until later that I realized I was also paying a substantial premium. If I had gone like a month sooner or later, it would have been like half the price probably.
Yeah.
And so I learned that later. We've given you a lot of months that are less than ideal. What have we not ruled out? What does that leave? So that leaves January, February, October, November, and maybe the beginning of September, end of September and the beginning of December. So let's talk about that a little bit more. January and February, I think, makes sense for a couple of reasons. It's early in the year, and a lot of people don't get their vacation time approved right away. A lot of businesses don't start thinking about the new year until it's the new year. And so depending on how quickly a vacation approval process happens, a lot of businesses start the process November, December. So you can book January. It's okay.
Yeah.
But because it's just so common that that's sort of our way of thinking, that people don't travel then, even when they're able to.
Well, and they're also like paying off their holiday bills and all that.
That was the next thing I was
sorry.
going to say. Exactly. They got the Christmas credit card debt as well. Or, maybe they drank away all their money in New Year's.
Yeah.
And there's that as well. And February's got Valentine's Day, so that can be a bit of a factor. But so I find generally January is pretty cheap. It might be one of the, if not, it might be the cheapest month of the year to go on a cruise. I think my $26 cruise was in January.
Yeah, it was.
And our current booked cruise is for January, just not the next one. It's the one after that. And so January can be a very cost-effective time. And the thing, if you think about it, it's actually a really smart time to travel. A lot of people are not going to be taking that time off of work, so you can probably get the time approved, no problem. Get ahead of... Well, actually, that's another problem. Is some workplaces, you have to earn your vacation before you use it. So those people, unless you have carryover, you're kind of screwed for January. But if you're able to... you might even be doing the business a favor, because if everyone's trying to take that time off in like December for Christmas, holidays, or just to burn their vacation at the end of the year, if you start taking it in January, you're being responsible, you're taking the pressure off of that time of year. The business your supervisor might appreciate that. Your HR department might appreciate that.
Yeah.
So there's also that. And also, depending on where you live, I mean, almost regardless of where you live, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, it's going to be colder. Not necessarily cold if you're like in LA or Florida, but if you're further north, it'd be cold. And so why not go somewhere warm when it's cold? That's what Isabella likes to do.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's what I like to do.
Yeah, and so January, February actually makes a lot of sense for that. Take your sweetie on that Valentine's Day cruise. It might actually not cost you huge. It'll be more than like early January, but it'll be cheaper than probably June.
Yeah.
And so that can still be a nice thing to do. January, February, watch for Valentine's Day. That might have a temporary spike in prices, but most of January, February is good. The latter part of September is great for travel generally, because people are back at school and they're in their new fall routine, and so they're not generally thinking about travel.
See, I disagree with you on the latter part of September for cruising. And that's because the hurricane season is still very much in full swing. And so that becomes a problem for a lot of people who they may have their cruises redirected. They may have their cruise just canceled entirely. So there's a lot of things there. So that's why I'm thinking that for me, I eliminated September entirely, because of the school thing, and then afterwards because of the tail end of the hurricane season, which does these days now extends into October. And because for me, I'm all about like October being Halloween. It's like unless I'm cruising like on Halloween, I'm probably more focused on prepping the house for Halloween. So that's for me why I've eliminated September and October.
Yeah, and fair enough. Admittedly, my advice does not factor in hurricanes. Because, and this might end up on my tombstone one day, I fear no hurricane on a cruise.
Well, because you've actually had fun with the hurricanes, basically.
Well, yes, it sort of. I mean, I've had fun in rough waters.
Yeah.
In terms of like the hurricane, though, we tried to go to Bermuda, and Hurricane Joaquin sat between Florida and Bermuda. We got diverted to the Virgin Islands and Grand Turk, and so we still had a great time.
Nice, yeah.
And so, but the thing is the ship can sail around the hurricane. It might impact you potentially if like the port city is hit. Yeah, it could get canceled, or you might be delayed on the ship. Oh no, a couple extra days added to your cruise at no cost, or extra hours. That happened. There were high winds. It wasn't a hurricane. High winds kept us out of the port of Tampa for an additional 8 hours. And coincidentally, there was a blizzard in Chicago at the same time, so my flight got delayed and canceled, pushed back anyways. And then I got the distressed traveler discount on a hotel at an Intercontinental in Tampa that night. So like the stars aligned the one time I was late coming into port because of it. So maybe I've had a semi-charmed life in that regard, and I don't know what I'm talking about. And so there's a big asterisk in my recommendations that I am not factoring in hurricanes, because when I travel, if my ports get changed, I'm pretty cool with it. I mean, I don't generally book third party, so unless I'm going to Mahogany Bay and Daniel Johnson's, like, I'm cool with my ports totally changing last minute.
Oh yeah,
that's exciting adventure for me. Where for other people, and I mean, Tom Parks talks about this, the difference between what was it, a traveler and an adventurer. The traveler's best hope is to have their expectations met. Whereas the adventurer is going to have an adventure. And they'll be excited by whatever comes. And so I don't get worked up about, I can't go to Grand Turk, instead I'm going to Jamaica or something. I'm like, hey, Jamaica!
100%. No, I'm absolutely the same with you on that in that respect. But I'm talking like if we're recommending to people, I would probably be like, if you have your heart set on a specific...
if it's a trip of a lifetime and you have to go to...
Bermuda, Bahamas, wherever, and it's like, then I would recommend avoiding hurricane season.
That's fair. And so... and with climate change, this could be subject to change.
Yeah,
So, you know,
true.
like, I'll let you do your own hurricane research from my point of view.
Yeah.
So yeah, but your point's well taken. So I'll take September out. Go to the Six Flags in September
There
because
you
there's
go.
no lines. It's amazing. Not a guarantee, but that's been my experience. So yeah, in September, go to Six Flags. Don't take the cruise, which is weird for me to say in any context. Don't take the cruise. No, take the cruise. For me, October, November works. In October, there's Canadian Thanksgiving. In November, there's American Thanksgiving. There's also Remembrance Day in Canada, which is what, Veterans Day or Memorial Day?
Veterans Day.
Veterans Day in the United States. And so those particular holidays can have temporary spikes of cost
Yeah.
and drops of availability and possible travel chaos as people might be going home to argue with their family about politics for Thanksgiving.
Yay.
But watch out for those particular dates, potentially. But generally speaking, most of the month of November and October is pretty cost effective. So for ease of travel and cost effective travel and available bookings, to me, it's 4 months. January, February, October, November. That's my personal recommendation.
Yeah.
Those 4 months. If you want ease of travel, available hotels and things
Yeah.
and flights, and lower costs on everything.
Yeah,
potentially
I would
across the
agree with you
board.
on that.
So that is, but really the best month to take a cruise is
Any-
whatever month you're existing in.